Hi everybody, welcome back to GearGossip. Tonight it's 3 compact PA systems. Yeah, for the singer-songwriter. So no drums, bass, electric guitars and stuff. Just the real cool stuff. Acoustic guitars, vocals and so on. With the assumption it should not replace your acoustic amp, okay? You just want to make things louder and you are using mixer outboard effects whatsoever. Huh? Just louder, not mixer. What I brought you are these 3 column style PAs. Yes, I've got a cold. What I chose, because they are approximately in the same price range as the classic, the Bose L1 Compact, the LD Systems MAUI 11 Generation 2, that's what G2 stands for, I guess, and the GBL Eon 1. Column style sounds like Gangnam Style. No? Gangnam Style. No, column style PAs. What's that? Well, the basic idea is to take everything that is big and heavy, which is electronics and bass, and leave it on the floor. Okay, so you have a housing, a casing, however you call this in English. I don't know, and I don't care anymore. Put all the electrics in there and the subwoofer. Put it on the floor where the subwoofer usually is, and elevate mids and treble to ear level or above with this plug and socket connectors. Yeah, and to make things even smaller and more compact, you're not using one bigger mid-range speaker, you're using very small speakers, but a lot of them. In case of the MAUI, we are talking 8 3-inch speakers. Okay, what's the benefit for me as a singer-songwriter? Well, one thing that I really dig, because I usually have to set up my gear alone, is no heavy lifting of stuff. The subwoofer stays on the floor. Ha, great. The second thing is you're not wasting stage space, because the footprint of these things is much smaller than your tripod. The stand that you always trip over. And the third thing that I really like is it's not that big. Well, the subwoofer is big, but the rest isn't. So it's not blocking view, it's not blocking you from the audience and vice versa, and you don't have this big thing with the cables swinging around. It's just gone. No? You just basically just have the stand on stage. That's a cool thing. In terms of sound, we will hear. That's the Bose L1 Compact. Bose is very shy on tech specs. An educated guess is 200 watts. What we know, there must be a speaker in there somewhere, because there's boom coming out of it when you turn it up. We know for sure because we can look inside it. We have 6 2-inch speakers in there that are angled. So they're not facing that way, they are facing that way, covering almost 180 degrees, giving you wide coverage, including your monitoring. So depending on your music and situation and volume, you might get away without using any sort of monitors, because standing right beside it, you hear it perfectly. Okay, that's the idea at least. With just physics, let's just set it up. Here we go. Yes, this was recorded on different days. Done. Yes, you can put this on a bar stool, because this is the way it can be operated. The other two cannot be operated like this, because this is the top part. But then it's not a column style thing. So, the column style. What you can also use is these 2 risers, as I call them. That way actually nothing, and set the thing up the way it's intended. And you're done. We have connections also. Okay, the electrics. Let's just... I told you it's light, didn't I? In terms of connections, what do you have? Microphone in, treble bass, and the volume knob. No FX. No, sorry, this is just narrator style. This is PowerPoint karaoke microphone, okay? No singing. Everything else goes into the second channel. Volume and no bass, no treble. No, you can have a mini connector for your MP3 player, RCA ins, and your input for guitar, line, whatsoever. Everything that you ever gonna use with this goes in here, okay? And you have a line out and a main out. An output. Hooray. That's all. Nothing else. Oh, by the way, what I should mention is that this thing comes with a soft shell and the thing for carrying around these pillars included into the price. So we have to compare the prices for everything included. The Bose has everything included. Now comes the MAUI. So you memorize the thing with the carry and back. This is the MAUI. I do this on the beginning of the MAUI review. You need to get extra this carry and back and the soft case, especially the carrying device for your riser, because the riser looks like this. This is not something that you want to throw into the trunk of your car and piercing the drummer. Oh, acoustic only, piercing the fiddle player. This is the MAUI. What do we know? We know it's about twice as big as the Bose. It has 3 6.5-inch woofers, 3 of them in there. It has a huge mid-range and treble array consisting of 8 3-inch speakers and 1 tweeter. We also know that it has about 500 watts and 1,000 watts peak performance. What we also know is, unfortunately, that the whole thing, this thing, weighs 17 kilos. 17. Oh, and and because we know that it's 70 kilos, we also know that we would have wished that there were 2 handles on the side. Excuse me, can you just, please, for loading and unloading, and not just one silly hole in the top to haul this thing around. No, I'm not Arnold Schwarzenegger, and especially at 3 o'clock in the night when I'm done and want to go home, I don't want to go like, yeah, come on, 2 holes. Nah. This setup is only slightly harder to do just because of the weight, but the rest is just as you will see. And you're done. Oh, it's not that bad, it's upright. Sorry folks, I didn't put up a second camera, I'm just too lazy by now. What we have is a mic in, mic level. Sweep through everything. There's pictures on the internet, please, folks. No FX, no reverb, no equalization, it's just inputs with a volume knob, okay? It's a mic, line level, stereo, 2 different types. A balanced, unbalanced, and RCA plug, high Z for guitars and everything, and MP3 Bluetooth also, and a system out. What? This system out means you can daisy chain things. If you think, well, 1,000 watts peak is just, come on, silly. Give me 3 of them. Then just daisy chain. Out, in, on. Flatten everyone. On the other hand, you can also use this as a stereo setup. If you're connecting stereo devices here, turn up, out, left, and then you have a left-right setup. Why should you do that? Why not just use 2 mono? Because if you do it like this, here's the master knob. You can control all of them, all the daisy chained or stereo setups with 1 knob. Okay, you don't have a run around the stage. And there's also another dial for the subwoofer level. And now this is the JBL Aeon 1. If you're seeing photos, you think, they're almost the same size. 3 times as big as the Bose. 3 times in terms of body. As I said, 3 times as big as the Bose, but that's a little bit of, how do we call it? Cheating. Yeah, because the whole thing is an enclosure for all these columns also. What we do have a 10-inch speaker and 380 watts, but the magic is on the other side. These are your columns, and this is a lid. And all these things come off. Very light. This is the speaker. So as you can see, you can reach in now. So actually the whole thing is, let's say, twice as big in terms of amp as the Bose, but has a lot of things around it to carry stuff with one hand. So everything is included in one package. What do we know about this package? 10-inch speaker I already mentioned for the subwoofer, and we have this high-mid array, which consists of 6 2-inch speakers. Good deal bigger than the Bose, but nowhere near as huge as the MAUI. All in all, it's 18 kilos. So it's right between the Bose and the MAUI. But talking about carrying it single-handed, no, not for a very long time. Again, there's a bag for it that is called the transporter, and this bag that I recommend getting has wheels. Connections. Do you see them? No, you don't. Ugh, God. Connections. This is so getting ridiculous and warm in here. That's comfy. Connections. Well, we have 2 channels, regular channels that have mic line switches, a volume knob, treble, bass, and a switch on/off reverb. And stereo line in, stereo line out with a dial. Oh, you can control maybe another PA front of a house with this. Bluetooth connection and the master volume. So in terms of connections, what do you have? Yeah, you have your emergency PA. If you're alone, guitar and vocals. If it's like that, it's like that. Just a microphone, a stand, a guitar, and this thing, and you're settled. Might come in handy, and it has wheels. And of course, what you should keep in mind, I do this. It's very unlikely that anybody ever breaks any of the dials when it's in the trunk of your car. Okay? So as I already mentioned before we start with everything, singer-songwriter, you don't expect now electric guitars and drums and bass. Okay? Acoustic guitars and vocals. What I'm using to showcase things is it's so up to playing style and the guitar that you're using and the gear that you're using. I'm using my stuff that I have recorded on my looper. That might be boring to you if you're watching 3 or 4 videos of mine in a row, but it keeps things comparable. I'm using a stereo microphone that is standing right there and it's recording the whole room. So please use headphones for this. If you're watching this on your smartphone on the railway, don't hesitate to get lost. I record it as loud as I dare in here. And yeah, use headphones, listen to it, rewind, listen again, draw your own conclusions, and then I will tell you mine. The first thing is the typical mid-rangey AC/DC style riff. Same file, okay? Then we have finger picking. Watch out for bass sustain, string separation, and the attack, what comes through. Remember, piezo guitar. This is not microphone, piezo. And some gentle chords. The next thing is a song with rhythmic parts, palm mutes directly to the piezo pickup, resulting in and doubled with a looper. So I occasionally do double hits. Don't let that distract you. This is because I recorded 2 loops. Okay? Again, listen for the when I hit the strings.
You should be sleeping now. Raw your skin and bones, far beneath the velvet on the stone. You should sleep by now, hiding from the light, wrapped up in a dark and endless night. should be sleeping now. Raw your skin and bones fall beneath the farewell on the stone. You should sleep by now, hiding from the light, wrapped up in a dark and endless night. Should be sleeping now. Raw your skin and bones fall beneath the farewell on the stone. You should sleep by now, hiding from the light, wrapped up in a dark and endless night.
And then I recorded something with 2 guitars and 2 voices, just for fun.
But deep inside it's sleeping. The love for your own kind you're keeping. It's only down, there's still a town, and been out of a small man beating. Inside it's sleeping. The love for your own kind you're keeping. It's only now, there's still that sound of being out of a small man beating. Inside it's sleeping. The love for your own kind you're keeping. It's only down, there's still a town, and been out of a small man beating.
Rewind, do it again, draw your own conclusion, and here goes mine. Sonic evaluation, what's my opinion about this? Draw your own conclusion. What I noticed is while playing actually is that the Bose L1C has a lot of top end sizzle, very high frequencies that can be tamed with an equalization. Okay, but it's there. And it's the drums were the thunder that I did on the PA, so was transformed into a fat thud, like a bass drum, sometimes dry bodron sound. I'm not sure if that's sonic characteristic or the whole thing given up. No idea. The MAUI. The MAUI is in your face meets rock and roll and a deep bone shaking punch that really goes and lifts you out of your chair. But I didn't notice this while playing it live in the room. It's like, it's lacking bass. You have the impression it's lacking, but it's definitely not when you listen to your own recordings. And the Aeon is initially very, very warm, very friendly. The piezo characteristics are almost completely gone. It's all warm and engulfing, spherical, deep, low end, but a little in terms of punch and attack. My 2 cents. So after all this, no one wins, actually. It's all up to date, all up to what you're going to use it for. You, actually, not me, you. I'd gig with anyone, okay? This is, it's not that I said, oh no, hands off this one. Let's just put it into categories. Portability, the Bose wins, hands down. and the MAUI loses. Definitely. Power, MAUI wins. All-in-one solution, the Eon wins. Punch, low-end thought, the MAUI wins. Family stuff, family parties, weddings and funerals, the Eon wins. Rock and roll stuff, MAUI wins. Big, broad, finger-picking folk songs, the Eon wins. Size, maybe you don't have a car, the Bose wins. And after all this, I think I like the sound of the MAUI the best. This is my personal thing. And then again, it's that awfully heavy. I'd really go for the